Here we go. Hey everybody, Jim Alberts here, and welcome to another edition of the Sales Copywriting and Content Marketing Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, along with my trusty co-host, Mr. Stu Smith. And today is episode 182. And 182 is a special number in our hearts because that is a special number for Mr. Stu Smith, and he's wearing an amazingly cool red helmet. Stu, tell us what the heck that's all about.
Yeah, this is my SEAL training helmet. Third phase. The red symbolizes third phase, which means the last phase you're about to graduate. So this was the last helmet I had as a SEAL student going through buds. And that was, by the way, 30 years ago this year.
Wow.
180.
And 182,
Yes.
182 was the class you graduated. You said you started with 180, but you graduated with 182?
Yeah, I got injured in third phase, so I was had to rehab for 2 classes and then join 182. So
okay.
It happens, though. Yep.
So yeah, I know you had stuff you wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna ask you move your mic a little bit around a little bit because it's feels like a dirty phone call.
Yeah.
So
it was the helmet pushing on my.
Oh, that's okay.
Stuff, so.
That's okay. So I want to ask you a few questions because you never talk about yourself. What's the number one biggest lesson you learned out of going through buds 30 years ago?
I learned that your body is 10 times stronger than your brain will let it be. So think about that for a minute. So not necessarily stronger as in like I can lift this, but just doing more things that you think you can't because you are tired or because you're cold and miserable. You know, you can still keep accomplishing stuff. So I would say that would be the number one thing I learned, and have used it constantly throughout, whether it is like I don't feel like getting up to go do a workout, but I get up anyway and do it, or if I have a deadline I'm trying to meet and I have to stay up late and miss sleep, I get it done. You know, so there's just little things like that. I think that everybody can relate to because you've had to do those type of things at some point in your life. But I think for me, it just really solidified that possibility is that I'm only limiting myself by the thoughts I have. You know, if they are negative and not forward-looking thoughts or maybe even obtrusive thoughts of failure. You know, which happens. We all have them. You know, but just to know that you're actually capable of much more than your mind will let you. Because, I mean, let's face it, your mind your brain is wired for survival. So when you're doing things that go against your ability to survive or recover or, to sleep, to eat, those type of things, it's going to remind you of like, hey, I need to sleep and eat and rest. And, but, it's there for a reason, obviously. But if you can disengage that for some time and just get your stuff done that you need to focus on, that's the key. I don't have a magic way of doing that. I wish I did. I wish there was a pill that I could say, take this pill and you will. You just have to really kind of practice those things and endure, some of the, build some habits, while you're motivated to build habits, and that will eventually turn into some form of discipline for you to be able to do that.
So, it was a pretty big experience in your life. It was one of those things that, even though it was 30 years ago, you still can look back on it and use it as a guide, as a measuring stick. What would you say to some people, though, that go through something really, really hard, and it's almost like I don't know if I'm going to say this the right way, but it's like I did that, so I don't have to do hard stuff anymore.
Yeah, been there, done that. Don't have to do it again, type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a couple of different ways to not benefit from certain activities. One of them would be to, like you said, say, I never want to do that again, and it is, scratched from my brain of any value whatsoever. The good and the bad is taken away.
Right.
The other way is living in the past and constantly referring to yourself into that situation and never growing out of it and understanding there's a whole lot more than what you did 30 years ago
Right.
in your life, right? And then there's a whole lot more 30 years from now that I have planned. So anyway, I think that's where a lot of people go wrong after um, something they accomplished in the past.
Right. So how about the people that, being a Navy SEAL is a big deal. Being, doing that, accomplishing that is a big deal. And then you stop doing that and you go from being somebody to now it's like, what's next? How am I going to recapture that? And how am I going to go on to the next step and do something that's super cool? Or, how do I transition from that to doing something where I feel that same sense of accomplishment or anything like that? Like, don't feel like my life was here and now it's here and I'm never going to get back to there kind of a thing, because I see that with people in business too. People that were successful like 10 years ago, things happen. And it's like they're chasing past glory.
Right.
How do you transition to something new? How do you evolve?
Well, great question. I would say this, for anybody who's anybody, you don't have to be something to be somebody.
Ooh,
right?
That's deep. That sounds like the title of a freaking book. All right.
You like
yeah,
that?
I like that a lot.
It really, it's part of your history, but it doesn't necessarily define you to everything that you have to do. Like a lot of people don't expect me to be cuddling with my dog on Facebook. I'm actually, quite a happy little guy that, likes my house and, so anyway, it's,
I always say you're the model suburban dad who used to be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's a compliment.
Somebody told me I was the Ted Lasso of Spec Ops coaches. Have you seen Ted Lasso? After he told me that, I had to watch Ted Lasso, and I'm like, that was a compliment.
There you go.
No, but I do have an interesting podcast topic for today, Jim, and it's not.
You didn't answer the question.
About what?
How do you transition? How do you evolve? How do you do that? Because I think that's how we can transition into, because it comes down to knowing what you want and having goals and stuff.
Well, I think with any goals that you've set in your previous life, you can utilize that same energy and passion for future goals. Right? So that is something that I am very goal oriented and driven. Like, for instance, this year I came up with the idea. Originally, I was not going to write any books, but I had this epiphany that I really need to do better at explaining what I do. And what better way to do that in a 4-part book series?
What better way?
What better way? And it shows them, this is my system. And so I'm using it more as like a, it's a funny title. Not everybody's going to understand it, but hopefully some people Google it because I own that title. Yeah. And it enhances them. So, goals are just something that can pop up as an epiphany that guides you towards the next level of your business or life experience. And you just have to keep an open mind as to how things are evolving around you. Because you see people making money on social media. You see people making money with websites. You see people selling books and ebooks, and those are things that I'm like, hey, I can do that, and so it becomes part of your next journey, and now you're doing the same thing, with evolving within your own world of making wizards and genies and other software. And I think you're a good lesson in taking it to that next level and coming up with new goals and capstones for life. And every little goal has a sub goal, and you can spread these things out for decades.
Sure. Well, I mean, some goals bring other goals along with them. So, but you just said something there that I haven't heard before. What's a flag? What'd you say? Flagstone? Capstone.
Capstone.
What's a capstone?
It's no different than a goal. It's just a capstone project, right? Okay. So for instance, like the seniors at the Naval Academy are going through their capstone courses next semester. So they've all decided where they're going to go after they graduate. Like some are going to be pilots, some are going to be submariners, some are going to be SEALs and Marines. And now this next course is their capstone semester, where they take a couple of special courses that focus on their career choice. Okay. And through that, there'll be a capstone project. They just call it capstone. So it's kind of like your culminating event of goal achievement and learning, and something that's going to take you to that next level. So that's how I've defined it over the years, anyway.
Okay.
And what I wanted to talk about was that, actually, the types of capstones and goals that we can make for ourselves, and how do we access those, right? If you have no goals right now, how do you access new goals?
Okay.
So,
rotate your mic up just a little bit more. Just there you go.
Yep. Sorry. Is that better?
That's okay. Down just a teeny bit. Stop.
Yes.
That's better. And now we're not getting the nose isn't getting it every time you breathe in and out.
Man, bummer. I got to figure out what's up with that. You get me all excited.
It's just the position of the mic. That's a great position. From now on, make sure it's positioned at the corner of your mouth like that, and I think it'll be great. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So Look at this. We're doing technical stuff on the fly. So give me an example in our business or in our life or in our fitness as that would be a capstone goal, something that is always there but ever evolving.
Business capstones are, I would say, can be very similar to a fitness capstone or goal.
Okay. Well, give me a fitness one, and then we'll apply it to business.
Well, I want to say that a capstone is, yes, it's a goal, but it's also a continuing part of a journey.
Okay. So almost like a commitment, like an ongoing commitment thing, like don't cheat on your wife. It's part of your journey.
Or something I say to people all the time in the fitness world is fitness is a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
Where I think a lot of people may train really hard for a marathon and then never run again, right? Or they're done, right? And they try to think of something else to do, but it's just not really happening for them. So you need to think of it as, what's next? It is a journey. You reach these goals, and then you have to have something ready to go. Like, what makes a good next journey? Is it a faster marathon next time? Is it faster runs, more pull-ups? You did 10 pull-ups. You want to go to 20 pull-ups?
But how is that different? How is it different? Is it always based around an event? Does it always have to be always doing more? Could it ever be doing less or something? Let me give you an example. Okay. So like for me, I'm seeing that the fitness goals that I had around numbers have got to change because I can't do what I could do 10 years ago because it hurts too much. It's causing pain.
Got it.
But so let's say that's based around an event. or not an event, like an event of how many pull-ups can I do, as opposed to I want to be in really good shape and way above average shape for my age, but I want to be in the best shape I can be in under the following conditions. I'm feeling good. I'm not in, and that, like, pain is good, but not being in chronic pain. Chronic pain is bad. Pain
Yes.
from a good workout for a day is fine. Waking up in the middle of the night with your shoulders screaming at you is not good at this age.
No.
So, you know, run times of 7.5 minute miles, just why? Okay. So, well, I'm just saying, I mean, I could do it, but why?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
but does that make me a bad person to want to not lower my standards? But, you know, that's the thing with goals. When you like have a goal, if I'm not always doing more, then I'm a failure. Is how you could look at it. And this capstone thing is like something that's always with you, that that you gotta really, I'm not saying this right, I'm trying to really understand, because I think this is an important concept. It's a goal that's always with you, but that goal is going to evolve, and that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I define a capstone as a goal that continuously resets itself for either a higher standard or in a completely new direction, depending on the situation.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And that situation could be an evolving technology.
Okay.
Or whatever. Yes.
So then the question, though, becomes, how do you evolve the goal without lowering your without how do you not use yourself? If I'm not sure if I'm making this sense or not, but using the fitness example, how do you evolve that goal as appropriate without basically giving yourself just permission to be a fat slob? You know, how do you evolve that goal?
Well,
You
I
know
think
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you have to have some underlying minimum standards, right?
Okay.
And those minimum standards is you are going to get up every day and do something. Okay. Now, that may not be heading you towards your goal, and maybe you need to figure out what that new goal is going to be once you've reached your first goal that you set for yourself. For instance, I originally started a business wanting to write fitness books, right? I am continually evolving in that I'm still writing fitness books, but I'm also doing fitness coaching, even doing some business coaching, you know, so there's an evolution that's taking place, but at the same time, you know, I went back to my basics in the last 6 months and decided I'm going to write this 4-part series before the end of the year. You know, that is another goal that just kind of popped up, mainly as an epiphany of what I needed to do for my business.
Right.
And, you know, then I just go back to the standard process of now I got to sell it. How am I going to sell it? Right. And so that's, anyway, that is how a lot of these things tend to happen.
That's fine. How important do you think events are in this? Like, you know, doing a go ruck or doing a one of your mill try things that you do a few times a year, or from a fitness thing, or from a standpoint of, you know what, I need to do a webinar next month. I need to get a webinar figure. You know, I need to have a webinar on the schedule to force me to do the stuff I need to do, because if I don't put the webinar on the calendar, I'm not going to do the webinar, which isn't going to help me sell the stuff. I mean, you can see how, you know, the event mentality, going from event to event to event, is that important, do you think?
I think so. Absolutely.
Okay.
But, you know, the way I look at it, you know, on a fitness level, is that those are the tests that I am studying for by my preparation prior. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you don't want it to turn into something that you are peaking for, and then the next day you're eating cheeseburgers and, you know, ice cream mixed together with French fries, which is tasty but not good.
Yeah, and like, you know, so you go to the next event or the next capstone, or, you know, however you want to define it. You know, while we were talking, I just went ahead and Googled what capstone projects were. And a decent definition is, you know, they're generally designed to encourage students to think critically, solve challenging problems, and develop skills such as oral communication, public speaking, research skills, you know, media literacy, teamwork, planning, self-sufficiency, or goal setting. You know, so they tend to be, you know, a college project or maybe even a, you know, master's level project. You know, that they're getting tested on and, you know, solving problems. So, you know, I might have misused that term capstone a little bit, but I kind of like it, you know, just because it just kind of defines the goal never stops.
You can call it whatever you want, Stu. It's your truth. We're in your world right now. So that's the beauty of today's world. You can use a word to mean whatever you want in any circumstance. So we can have it do whatever. How is one of these capstone thingies different from a bucket list item? Or is it? Because Carlin's got a bucket list item he's doing next month, going for a month through Whitewater, something he wanted to do since he was 19, and now he wants to get that done. How is that? So could it be the same thing? Could it be?
I mean, I guess it could be. I think you're probably going to be a little more excited for your bucket list item than necessarily a capstone, because I look at capstones as something that I need to do. I look at bucket lists as something that I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, for instance, you know, your side gig, you know, when you create a side gig, it's kind of fun to do, right, at first. And then you start seeing, oh, crap, I just sold my first ebook. Wow, I'm selling an ebook a day now. Wow, I made $100 while I slept last night. You know, and you see the growth journey begin. And then you have to say, well, if I'm going to make this thing work, I need to figure out how I can scale this and see growth. And then it becomes more of a capstone and goal setting priority in this journey that's going to turn your side gig into your eventual legacy and business empire.
Okay.
But once again, it's a journey, not a destination.
And I think the biggest thing that I'm getting from this is that it's a journey. We're all on a journey. And what makes so like when I'm going down I-95, all right, really got to go to the bathroom. I really want to hold it till I get to Buc-ee's. Why? Because going to Buc-ee's is a special thing, because they got cheap gas and a clean restroom and great snacks and everything else that just makes it amazing. It's everything that south of the border was 30 years ago, all right, is now at Buc-ee's. So you got to have the stuff that you're looking forward to on the journey that you're on. Otherwise, you're just kind of plodding along miserable, knowing you're going to have to piss in a dirty BP gas station bathroom at some point when you can't hold it anymore, or risk your life in some dark, dank rest stop along the way, taking your life in your hands. I think it's just important to have stuff to look forward to when you're moving forward, stuff to be ready for. That's the other thing, like those events, those physical events, being ready. You don't want to get there and fail. So you do that in business or you do that physically. You want to be ready. You want to do well. You want to pass the test. And one of the ways to do that is just to always be ready. But you got to feel good about the stuff in the past, or at least have learned from it and feel good that you got something out of it. Sometimes, you know, it's funny, we look back, the stuff that seems like our biggest failure actually becomes our biggest blessing. And the stuff that we thought would be the biggest, the biggest blessing is that we thought was going to be the biggest blessing. It's like, it's cool, but that's not the stuff we talk about. You know, it's not the thing because nobody cares. The thing they want to hear about is how you overcame those obstacles. So, you know, using those as a way to feel good or to feel in a sense of accomplishment, but not living at a rest stop 20 years, because you can't pee at the rest stop you were at 100 miles ago. You got to look forward to the rest stop that's coming up. And sometimes you got to hold it. Sometimes it's painful to make it to that next rest stop. But you know what? When you do finally get to pee at that next rest stop, it feels really good, you know? A couple coffees from the last Buc-ee's, it's like, hey, I earned this, all right? And then when you're done, it's time to get back in the car and keep going. You don't live at the rest stop because they'll call the cops at some point. Plus, living off of the vending machine food sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So it's keeping moving forward and having something to look forward to, and then using that thing and transitioning that looking forward to thing as to something that gives you the confidence that you can keep moving forward to the next stuff too. And I think some of those, I think one of the things from our talk is that there are some goals that you need to set and then feel really a sense of accomplishment over. Know that, you know, set the things. It's more than just the everyday, day-to-day, setting the goal, doing the living type thing. But the things that you could say, you know, hey, I'm really working towards this. And then, hey, I can really feel good about that once it's passed. I think those are the capstones. At least that's what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, I would agree. Almost like that $64,000 question on that game show. You know, like if you got to that point, you're not going to fall back past it. Right. So it's like, so like you get to this point, you're here, right? You might be able to move a little bit further, but if you fail, you're back to that capstone. Like you don't go all the way back to zero.
Yeah. I'm walking out of here with something, not, you know, like nothing and a ham sandwich, a bus ticket and kicking the ass. Yeah. That's absolutely. I think, and that's important. And, you know, the other big thing I'm pulling out of this from this discussion, I think is important too, is that those decisions are really up to us. We decide what's a capstone, what's not. We decide what we're going to be ready for and what's not. We decide what we feel good about and what we don't, what something means or what it doesn't mean. We get to decide this whole thing because we're driving the journey ourselves. It's totally up to us.
I mean, well, think about it. Whenever you made this new genie that is part of your new business services and products that you have, you know, that came out of somewhere. You thought of like, oh, well, I'd like to be able to add AI to my wizards, you know, and call them genies. Right. And then, you know, you were able to continue on with the same business model that you have. You're just making it bigger. Right. So nothing really changed on how to get there to solve that problem. One, you solved a different problem, but taking it to the next level is going to largely be the same methodology that you've used in previous problems to go from A to B.
Right. And you know why? Because the number one thing that I have seen successful people do is it always in the end comes back to serving the people that you're called to serve. And so everything you do and everything that you kind of add or take in gets filtered through that lens of, is this going to help me serve the people? How can I use this tool? How can I use this information? How can I adopt, or infuse this with what I'm already doing to help people get a better result? And if you understand the people that you're called to serve, the result that they want, and how you're continually trying to bridge that gap for them, that's how you can make it look easy sometimes, even though you're paddling like a duck, like paddling like hell below the surface. And that's what you do. I mean, you've known for years who you were called to serve. You were serving the kids that wanted to go into Spec Ops. And then as they grew up, and then retired, you're like, hey, I got all these kids and they got money now. Now I'm going to help these guys over 40 and women too, but mostly guys. I'm going to help them to transition to that next phase of life. You just knew, if you know who you're serving and what the result is they want, everything will work out. If that's truly your end run motivation, everything will work out the way it's supposed to. And it's a lot more fun too, because you're not like the people that are obviously just chasing a buck. Hey man, I'll chase a buck, but I'll chase a buck as the result of service, not as the end all and be all of why I'm doing what I'm doing. You can't do it. Won't work.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, yeah, man. So let's wrap this up, Stu. 182. Stu's 182.
Well,
I'm going to ask you a question. I got it. This is a question I want you to wrap it up with. Okay. If you could go back 30 years ago and give one piece of advice to Stu, young Stu, cocky young Stu with that Chevy Blazer with the music blasting out of it, who wanted to be, Tom Cruise and Top Gun, what would you tell that kid?
Invest in Apple.
Besides Denise.
Invest in Apple.
No, I'm not accepting that.
That's a good question. I would say, take care of your guys, right? The guys that you're in charge of. Number one, most important thing, because at this time I was about to go do military job for another 7-8 years. Take care of your guys. Enjoy the training. Keep your mouth shut and your ears open, because you are now going to be a new guy at a team and you need to learn. You don't have anything to teach anybody. So I was starting all over again. So I think, no matter where you are in life, there's somewhere in our journey, you're always, if you're changing your goals, you're going to be on a journey of always being a new guy. You're going to be learning new things. You're going to be behind the 8 ball with everybody else that's in the room. And it's your job to just be in receive mode and learn as much as you can, as quick as you can, and become proficient at it. And you can apply that to anything from military to business world. Otherwise, you're not going to evolve, and you're not going to be able to meet the standard to be in that room anymore. So I think that is the key.
Damn, dude, that was really good.
Thank you.
That right there, that's some serious life skills. That's a great message. And very heartfelt. And anyway, that was just damn good. I got nothing to add to that. So well done.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Stu, thank you for all you do for us. We appreciate you very much. We appreciate all of you for listening. If they want to get in shape, Stu, where should they go?
StuSmithFitness.com.
Absolutely. And if you want to learn how to write amazing sales copy, go to copywritingsecrets.com. And if you want to use the latest, greatest, and the most wonderful genies, wizards, and software in the world, head on over to contentmarketingscripts.com. And there might be something there for you to buy or not, depending on where we are on marketing cycle. Oh, stop, Susan. What's over there? Can they sign up for something?
Yes,
you can opt in?
There's options for them to be able to sign up if they want.
Sweet. Awesome. Look at us, like a real marketing company. Well done. All right. Thanks, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Great episode. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.